Chair, government shuns away all arguments of the Constitution, shuns away all arguments of the Civil Code, shuns away all arguments of the Family Code and whatnot. They argued in a way that they wanted to create a new law and that this law would govern everything. But we and then they allege us that we have a different paradigm as what this debate calls for. Let's take a look at what the theme of this debate is and what the spirit of the motion is. The spirit of the motion talks about marriage, but when government comes up here, it defines it not as marriage, but rather as a right succession and whatnot. And we say that this is what not what the debate calls for. But being technical about it, we will bite the bullet. We will debate with them on these particular issues. We say that it is wrong for them to shun away the Constitution, the Family Code, and the Civil Code, particularly because they are the cornerstones of Philippine society, and particularly because they regulate society in order to protect the society as a whole. And so we say that it is essential for a new law to be consistent with the Constitution and the laws, particularly citing Article 7, Paragraph 2 of the Civil Code. No law shall be inconsistent with the Constitution, and if so being inconsistent, it shall be void ab initio. Third paragraph specifically states that government regulations and statutes must not be in conflict with the provisions of this code, particularly referring to the Civil Code. Since this is the case, we say that in order, the burden of proof of government is to show that in enacting a new statute, by statutory construction, Madam Chair, in enacting a new statute, they must show that it is not inconsistent with prevailing laws, because these prevailing laws, as I have said, will essentially protect society. Now let's go on to the issues at hand. The first issue is on the public policy, on the greater public policy, and on the second issue, on the right of choice. Let's go on to public policy. We say, the government argues, Madam Chair, that there is no social implication or no implication at all, and that's why there has been no court cases filed and whatnot. But we say on opposition, Madam Chair, that that is not actually the case, because their arguments are merely speculative. They do not apply in current times. Hence, this is the reason why no court proceedings have yet been put up in court. And essentially, what we're trying to say here is that, contrary to what they're saying, that there's no effects, Deputy Leader of the Opposition argues that there is a particular effect of public policy. First of all, you are violating the right of life. I'll just finish my point. The right of life, Madam Chair, as embodied in Article 1 of the Constitution, protects life, Madam Chair. And we say that by enacting this particular provision, wherein you choose to marry a person with an inanimate object, it actually compromises the Filipino family as the basic social institution. When the Constitution defines its basic social institution, Madam Chair, it actually speaks of how the family is a cornerstone, on how life is brought about, and on how new life is born, Madam Chair, by the union of man and woman. And this is why there has been also a lot of debate about homosexual marriages. But not delving into that, we say that as an important cornerstone, it actually brings about new life. And Article 1 of the Constitution protects that new life, Madam Chair. And we do not want to prevent new life from occurring just because you are passing a new law, such as the marriage of a human being and an inanimate object. But before I go on, yes, sir, you have a point?
First and foremost, you highlight that we don't have court proceedings. Because, Mr. Chair, are you forgetting that we base court proceedings on the existence of substantive laws? And what we want to happen is to have that substantive law in order for us to have the court proceeding that you are talking about. And you are saying also about this is not a reality. This will not really be a reality to traditional people. But if we're going to look at the bigger picture, you will see the reality.
We accept that there are substantive rights. But how do you gain substantive rights? We say that It is the Constitution, Madam Chair. It is the statute, it is the civil code and the family code which provides for these substantive rights. But statutory construction, Madam Chair, basic statutory construction provides the hierarchy of laws, Madam Chair. The Constitution, for the foremost, is on top of the statute, Madam Chair. So this is why we see that the government has the burden of proof to, number one, prove that the Constitution is not enough. Number two, that there are substantive rights. Number three, on the burden to show that this that it is public policy to actually enact it as part of the Constitution, Madam Chair, the cornerstone of Philippine society. And we see that it should not actually be put in that piece of legislation because of the reason of public policy, Madam Chair. First, because the Constitution prohibits unilateral contacts. And second, because we do not want to affect the right to life, Madam Chair, particularly human existence. Madam Chair, this piece of legislation is actually that which, to avoid the right to life, which the Constitution, particularly Article 1, the first piece of legislation, so protects, Madam Chair. On the last issue, on the right of choice, we agree with government, and we want to say that, you know what, people have choices. We accept that. They have choices. However, when these choices are to such effect that it can actually bring harm, state regulation is permitted. There are litany of cases, jurisprudence, and even the law provides these particular rights are not absolute. And we say that government can actually step in when there is a greater public policy being protected. And we say in the opposition that there is actually a greater policy being protected. Number one, these are the public policies that we want to protect. Number one, the right to life. Number two, the constitutionality of the Constitution of the Philippines. And number three, the hierarchy of statute. At the end of the day, we say that opposition exists because government has failed to prove that their piece of legislation is indeed applicable at present times. And number two, that it is not inconsistent with the Constitution. Thank you.